My name is Charlene Tan. I usually go by Char. I come from San Francisco, California, and I'm super honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I wanted to talk about assimilation as a problem. And then I've been rebelling against it for a while, and I've been informed by books called Brown Skin, White Minds, and then finding books and like the SOAS mapping project. And and I wanted to say thank you for my family. You know, they're mildly terrified of me being an artist. But they're at a point now that I've stuck with this and have found my voice of being a film artist and trying to find my way to connect to my history because, wow, that was really fast. I wanted to address the three factors, like being exhausted by internalized colonizer constructed shame of being a Filipino, a disconnect from my ancestral land, and hold on, I'm trying to find the last part. And being ravenous for ancestral knowledge and how hard it is to find, and when I was beginning. And then this is me working on a project that kind of like culminated in like the 4 or 5 years of trying to find how I can process this information. And this is after a textile that I bought from the Maryland Dulai, of the Dulai family in Lake Cebu. And my version is like, instead of doing these super small, intricate things, I blow it up and then work with the community. And I wanted to start with a homage to SOAS because I was really inspired by how open it was to find samples in the SOAS Mapping Philippine Material Culture site, which I found by accident. Because I was like looking up tree tech and different versions and techniques, and then I came across this during a time that I was asked to do a public art project by the South of Market Action Network in San Francisco that is mainly focused in the South, like, I don't know if any of you guys are, like the very urban part of San Francisco that has a huge Filipino community, and they do like activist work, feeding like food runs for the elderly, trying to find rent or find a place to rent if you were low income. And they asked me to go and have a conversation with their new scholar program, which is like reclaiming our space. And I found this, like it's tree textile cloth called like the banda para. My Spanish is awful, but in Tagalog it's like a gumot ng bata. It's from the Jose Rizal collection that I found through this site, and it was a beautiful way to connect with a building of using a source material that is based on care and protection, and being a very public view. You can see it like on the side of the building, and then people are like, what is this? And then I wanted it to be a point of pride because it's a hard thing to have a conversation about. And I'm also talking about Marian Pataros's book that she wrote 30 years ago as another source material. And I will show more of that source material in the next few slides. And then this is how it translated as I was seeing that like it felt false to buy cotton from the Philippines and then spend years to learn how to weave on a loom that I didn't really have a connection to. But I work in like production for artists, and then I live in a very industrial area, and my studio is in like deep warehouse. So like the abundance of material is discarded banner material, silver mylar that came from an exhibit. And so I started using that as a way to connect to this pattern, and using, instead of like a micro, I did macro, and then using like latch hook rug hooks, which look literally like an embroidery hook, and then kind of like tracing that pattern of this like baby blanket. And that's how I've been connecting, and I'm kind of going off script. And this art historian was like the best version of like what are the tangible immaterial threads that tie us to our ancestors, and how are these distilled throughout the diaspora community, can reclaim cultural practices, transmute colonial legacies, and power shared narratives of joy, beauty, and pride. And delving into the realm of cultural simulacra and the poetics of materiality. Developing her own visual language, the artist reinterprets traditional Filipino tribal weavings in her mosaic-like compositions. She intertwines indigenous signifiers and generational craftsmanship with contemporary digital processes, bridging the distance between herself and her ancestors. So I've been doing this in a very public way to connect. And then they've become community weavings. And I thought it was going to be just for the Filipino community to have this conversation, but it's become something that is a very common thing of like, a lot of people are in diaspora and have felt disconnected. So that's been kind of the beautiful part of like a very messy reconnection. And then it's also taught me how to be a better, I wanted better leaders and better connection to community, and I'm meeting everyone where they are at and learning how to become like more open about it, because I have come across a lot of gatekeeping, and I decided just to be very, very public about this. So, okay. And then this is actually what happened with the Public Art Commission. I was supposed to do something smaller, and then they got really excited. They're like, how about this side of this building that's very public? And I was like, how big is it? And they were like, oh, well, you know, it's like, let's do 30 feet by 35 feet. And I'm like, okay. I think I got really nervous, and but the Rhodes Scholars were like, let's go, let's do this. And we actually maxed out on the space of like, we took over the gift shop that was defunct, and they were more invested than I was. So that was one iteration. And then this was actually the first that ended up being hung like years later at the Blackford Art Museum in Houston for the Filipino American National History Society conference. That it was a beautiful like kind of bookend to this project. And then I'm using silver mylar, which is agricultural use of like using greenhouses, so it's like reflecting back the sunlight. In like California, like in the vineyards, like it's used to like scare the birds. So it's like it's protection and also helping grow, and kind of like the cycle of like that idea of care. And then this is one of the first works that I did, kind of reconnecting. I've been a big fan of Manang's book. That she actually, like, when I first met her on Wednesday, she was like, but I wrote that 30 years ago. Why is it such a big deal? First thing is, like, it's so rare. Not that it's rare to find, which it is. But it's the first time that I saw it, it was very, like, a new experience, because it was very obvious that you were very proud, and it was so extensive, because being Phil Am and like being first generation, we were just like, you don't want an accent, you don't stick out. To a point that I was my mom's representative as a bill collector in my family business, because I sounded like her, but without an accent. And my brother would be like editing the mail, the mailer, because his grammar was really good, and my grammar's not that great. So it was when I first saw it, I was like, I didn't really know how to take it. I didn't really like it. I actually took 3 months to save for it, and I put away because it was too much. And then I started going through it, and then I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't have this quote unquote muscle memory or this connection of growing up and learning how to memorize these patterns, because I didn't have the privilege of being born on ancestral land. So the whole diaspora thing, kind of like, how do I connect? So I started tracing. I printed out as a photo print, like a digital print. This is like almost 4 feet wide, 5 feet tall. And I was like, what do I connect with as a common denominator with fellow persons in diaspora? And it was like food. So the simple thing that I just like try to memorize the pattern, and then because it's in a grayscale, and then just like over the years, like I started like filling out the lost parts, because people were like, what is this part? People will help me. And it started kind of just sinking in. Like I understood I felt like I almost felt like the whole, whoever designed it was like, it's menacing, like the like containing this like crocodile spirit and the claws, and then it was almost like trying to fight for connection. And then I had to ask fellow Pinay artists, and I was like, am I appropriating? And it was like a very great conversation, because it was like, no, you're not really appropriating. It's more of a reclaiming and decolonizing, because I was thinking that these weren't as valuable as like a European kind of like visual language. So I have to say thank you for all those people who came by. Okay, next one. And then that led to actually buying or finding, like I looked at I knew about Lang Dalai and the Taboli and the like Cebu culture of like these textile patterns, and then I wanted to see actual textiles and have it and like kind of understand like how it's made, what abaka actually feels like. And I wanted to make a homage because I was asked to do this Biennale, and I wanted to do something very public, almost like a beacon of like we have this beautiful culture and it's okay and we can share it. Maybe in the Filipino American aspect of it, because I feel like the more I'm doing this in public, the more people come up to me like ask me questions that I don't know how to answer. And it's been fun. And also like I'm here in London looking at everyone here, and it's very intimidating, but it's very fun to like the conversations, like we were talking about the nuances of fiber, and then different things, and like now I'm learning about different kinds of like the spirituality of things, and like I actually saw a marriage blanket that I only heard about, and it just was here on Wednesday, and I was like, can I touch it? And then it was beautiful to hear the story that like getting that blanket back actually inspired the local community to where that originated from, to like recreate them, maybe in different style, different fabrics, different weight. So I guess this is my version of it. And then this is a piece that was supposed to be outside, but it will be here tomorrow. It's another iteration of the Kumot ng Bata, and it's a homage to SOAS and to mapping Philippine material culture, because just a little thing has like catalyzed, it's like a catalyst to like kind of like, I feel for like when the marriage blanket came back, like I'm getting to explore and then share it in a way that like I didn't understand until now. So that's my 10 minutes, right? Okay. Can I sit down? Thank you. Any questions?
I was interested in the ravenous thirst for ancestral knowledge.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay. Because a lot of the books that I was finding were out of print, or I had to go to like a library and sit with the books because you couldn't check them out because they were that rare. So I don't know if you guys experienced that. I work almost more than full-time sometimes, and only now that I'm becoming an artist full-time that I'm having like the time to research and visit these books that are super rarefied, or I just can't afford to buy them, like the Codex. Is there one here, or is this online? Okay. Because I'm probably going to lose my life for a month to read it.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
I just want to say how inspired I am by your work, because I have children who are part of the diaspora, who are hungry to know
Yeah.
their own heritage. And it's so great to see an example of how you can engage with your heritage without, without having to be, you're not Filipino enough is something that they get told. And
Yeah.
it's really important that you just create your own space. And you've done it, so congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. Trying. Okay. Yeah.